All it takes is one mistake. Peace, my peoples. Peace, my weebles. How y'all doing? It's your boy Sincere Seven coming to you live and direct from the Psychonaut Academy of Detroit. The Pad, representing the House of Genesis. Man, like I am feeling okay. I'm feeling good, honestly. I'm feeling good. Which is very confusing. It's very confusing to me. Let me be 100 with it. I'm confused at how I feel as good as I do because I'm a Cancer moon sign. Those of y'all who follow me, who friends, who know me, you know what I'm saying? Y'all know that Cancer be cancering. That moon sign is serious, you know. So I find myself being deep in my emotions. And when I get deep into them, I remain in them. And I lather myself and allow it to absorb into my full system to make sure I can feel everything and just get it all into the system and just going through me, right? And then after I drown myself in those emotions, then I tend to come out of them and to look at them and to look at what just happened, right? And so this past week was a very challenging time for me. And I didn't even know that it was challenging for me while I was going through it. If that makes sense. I wasn't aware of it. It was such a big thing that I didn't even realize what was going on. And at the time that I did, once I realized what was going on, I said to myself, literally out loud, I said, oh, wow, this is a very traumatic event. This is traumatizing. This is literally traumatizing me. I said that out loud. And when I realized it and I said it out loud, listen, y'all, I understood all of the teachings and all of the trainings and all of the classes I've been to and all of the, situational, just all of these things that I've been through about trauma and how to help other people and my clients and all of these things. And I told myself, hey, this is you entering into this in a real life situation, like right now. You're entering into a traumatic event right now. And then the thought of the parasympathetic and the responses, the fight, the flight, the fawn, the freeze. What are you going to do? Like, how are you going to handle this? What's the best way to handle this? What's the strongest way to handle this? What's the most responsible way to handle this? All of this shit came to mind, live and direct, while I'm literally going through a traumatic event. And I started asking myself, what should I be doing? How should I be handling this? There go them shame space words, right? As a practitioner, how should I be handling this? As a father, how should I be handling this? As a brother, how should I be handling this? All of these thoughts came to mind. And I didn't have answers to them. I had questions that led me to more questions. And these questions I'm asking myself, and I had to realize you're asking yourself these questions as a certified integration coach, as a trauma response specialist, as a conflict resolution specialist. What I was not asking myself was, how do you feel? How do you feel like you need to protect yourself as an individual actually going through a traumatic experience? And it caused me to look at things from a different way, because I realized that, again, I'm looking at myself like I'm one of my clients. And even right now, as I'm talking, I'm not sure if that was the correct way to look at it or not. Let me be very clear. This live, I'm not about to get on and drop some science that I done went through and I done looked at, and I didn't put it all together. These I'm sharing with you all. I'm sharing with you all as I'm sitting in the morning having my cacao and my microdose, and I'm thinking through what I just went through over the last week and how to integrate this into my life moving forward. And I'm reviewing all of the things that happened and how I looked at them to ask myself, was that the proper way? So understand that while I'm speaking on these things, these are not the answers. These are the questions. So, not to be too long, but to throw it out there. Like, let's get to it. What happened? What's going on? What you mean? So, for those of y'all who know me, y'all might know that I had a very challenging childhood. Both of my parents were idiots. One of them, my father, was prior service military, got kicked out, selling drugs, fornication, jail, prison, broke up because of jail, the family was broke up. When the family broke up, my mother, joined a religious organization which operated as a cult. So then took place separation from my father, separation from any and all family. And any time that I reached out to anybody in the past in my family, specifically my father, I was beaten with a belt wrapped around backwards, so the buckle hangs off on the end, and my stepfather would hold me by my ankles and beat me in my testicles with the buckle of the belt buckle. So for all of those military partners that used to wonder why I used to slap people with belt buckles when I fought, when I knew I was about to fight, I would take my belt off, I'd turn around and I'd wrap it and leave about a foot and a half off, and I would turn around, bow, and beat a person in their face with the buckle, and then go into fighting, drop the belt and go into doing my thing. That was why. It's like hurt people when you are abused, when you violated, when you are experience different things. These are things that you are taught. It's not just something you experience, you're taught, right? That's why people who are abuse people are sexually violated a lot of time, turn to sexual violations, right? So I became violent. But the what I call the adverse reaction from my abuse was that I didn't have loved ones, I didn't have family. So I would cling on to the feeling of love. This is where the infatuation with women, right, came from. This is where even the polygyny, and discussions about polygyny, I tell very clearly, like, my lack of affection from my mother and other people create a desire for affection, a desire to want to be touched, a desire to be hugged, a desire to be loved. And so my relationship with women became almost like an addiction. I loved feeling love, right? So that is where the whole let me take care of women, let me care for women, let me do all of this. It came from thinking that the separation between my mother and father, and the reason for all the traumatic experiences that I went through in life, was because my father did not care for my mother properly. That's what I thought, right? Which led me to want to become a great father and husband. That's the reason why I'm a great father and husband, and why I lack the ability or the attention to looking for a great mother or wife. See, a lot of times your trauma becomes your superpower, right? Because for me, it was, damn, my mother didn't want me what's wrong with me. I need to make sure that I fix whatever's wrong with me so I will be desired by women, which is why I can do everything that women like, that women want. Like I studied sexuality and how to have sex. I studied how to cook, how to clean, how to protect, how to get money, like all of these things that women desired. I'm like, okay, that's what I have to master in. So my fear and my what is it when you look down on yourself in certain ways, your lack of confidence is what actually created my desire to be great. That's why I studied so much, because I thought that women liked smart and intelligent men. I thought that women liked men who could protect them. I liked men. I thought that women liked men who could provide for them. That's why I have multiple homes and see, everything that I do was created out of the traumas. So from what I went through, my mother and the snap. So in all of that, I chased my sister. My older sister, that was who was there. That was who did love me. That was who did support me. And I thought that me and my sister had this unbreakable bond. Disdain. Nah, more of like self-love, like how you look at yourself as less than you actually are. But so I chased that bond, and I chased my sister because in my mind, that was the only person that ever really loved me. Now, I got with my sister in Detroit, you know what I'm saying? Boom, we got back together. I went to the military. She moved to Florida. When I got out the military, I moved to Florida. My sister moved to Alaska and then to California. I'm planning to move. Like, I'm literally following my sister because this is the memory of when I was coming up, the only love and commonality and right, like that's what. Like what? That's there was no mom love you, dad love you. That parental love I didn't have, but I thought I had that in my sister. And so I felt me and my sister had this relationship where we went through the worst shit together and we would always have each other's backs, right? Long story. So in this past week, now let me just pause. So my mother is somebody that we have looked at in a way where we understand that she is not psychologically all the way there. She joined this religious organization that operates as a cult, and she is knee deep into it, right? So one year, my grandmother, my mother's mother, and her sisters go to visit my mother in Colorado Springs. It's snow on the ground. It's cold. My grandmother and my aunties go to visit my mother. They get ready to hang out. My grandmother and aunties and all of them, they drink. They know Sunday at the table, everybody gonna be drinking. Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby. So, they all came to visit, and they all wanted to get a drink. And my mother's like, y'all know I'm Christian and I don't drink, right? So my mother is like, no, y'all can't drink here, this, that, and the other. So they like, all right, no problem. So they all get together and go to the bar, my grandmother and aunties, to get a drink. Like they're out of town. They're gonna go to the bar, have fun, have a drink, you know what I'm saying? This and that. When they got back to my mama's house, she put all their stuff out. She put her mama and her sisters out in the snow. Like, listen, I contacted my preacher, my reverend, and basically she let me know, you know what I'm saying, y'all are people of the world, and I don't need to be dealing with y'all, and you know what I'm saying, so y'all can just head on back. So they had to get a hotel for the rest of the time they was at. And so this became one of those things like, your mama is crazy. I'm like, I told y'all she was crazy. Like, I've been telling y'all. Y'all thought I was just tripping because I was young. Y'all thought, right? So now the family started to realize, your mama ain't got it all. Your mama really put her mama and her sister. So this is a thing we talk about. Okay. So this past week, I go to visit my sister. And a conversation takes place that was challenging. Her husband asked, like, I want to have this conversation about some things that you said and how you feel about this, that. And all right. And we have the conversation. And he did not like the way that I felt. I was asked about how I felt, and I was like, yeah, that's how I feel. And this, that, and the other. And it was offensive. And so a disagreement took place. And in the disagreement, an individual said to me, yo, where is this shit going? What you want to do about this shit? Where this shit going? What you want to do about it? And I looked at my children who were in the room, and I looked at them individuals, and I walked away. And I gave this understanding to a few people. And as soon as I said it, I said, I know what that means. I'm from the hood. I was told that don't mean what it means. 3 people I talked to was like, nah, that means like, what you want to fight? Like, when people say, what you want to do about it? What's up? Where we going with this? What you want to do? That's inviting you to a fight. Okay. So I did not appreciate that. And I made that verbally said, like, yo, I don't appreciate that. And if my children were not around, I would have responded differently. The next day, I was taken somewhere and I was given a ride. Let me be very clear, somewhere, because I was supposed to be going here and then I'm gonna come back, because I made the whole plan for me and my children to come here so me and my sister can go and hang out, come back every day while going to work, because we're literally working a building away from each other. So my understanding is I'm leaving and I'll be back so we can do this for the next 4 days. And on the ride there, I was told that I am basically uninvited back to this house. So I'm here with my children and I'm being told, you can't come back to my house. When I drop you off, and in my mind, I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, oh, snap. This is the same thing that my OG did when she put me out of the house and sent me from Colorado to Detroit. My mother drove to, I did not know where we was going that time. And she was on the way to the Greyhound bus. And in the car, she starts talking to me. And the things that she was saying, I'm trying to put together, not understanding. And then when we got there, she gave me my lunch and put me on a Greyhound bus to Detroit. That was the last time that I seen my mother. And I had talked to her maybe 2 or 3 times from that time at 11 years old till I was 40. Right? So like 30 years. So it was a traumatic experience. And so it was a repeat of the same thing. Like a person, like I'm realizing what's going on right now. And in that manner, in that time, I'm saying to myself, do you say something? Do you say nothing? Do you, right? This is that fight, flight, freeze, fawn. You know what I'm saying? And I literally walked through it with a consciousness. I fawned. I'm like, okay, no problem. Why? Because I got my babies in the back seat, and if I say what I really want to say, it gonna cause a rift, right? So it was like, just fawn. Just say whatever you have to say to make sure you and your babies get somewhere safe. You know what I'm saying? Boom. All right, cool. I'm literally walking through it. And once I got to a safe place, then I was able to like unpack everything, right? Safety first, period, right? I got my babies with me. So at that point, now I get to unpack everything and really look at it, because I'm still in the midst of it. Because now I've been dropped off with my baby somewhere that I'm supposed to be for 2-3 days, and I'm supposed to be returning. There is no return. So now I got to think, what's the next move, right? How do I maneuver? What do I need to do? And so all of this was literally going on while I'm in the midst of it. And I'm saying to myself, literally, oh, this is traumatic as fuck. I cannot believe this is happening? Because my emotions as a Cancer is very, 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 very shocked right now. And I'm trying to keep that to where I don't even focus on it, because as a emotional manifesting generator, I'm not supposed to respond until my emotions come to a balanced state. So I'm trying not to even let my emotions get involved. I'm trying to just keep awareness of exactly where I'm at and what I'm supposed to be doing right now on some soldier shit. The lesson and the healing. Listen, literally, live and direct, you know. So I decide, yo, two things. One, I'm out here for energy work. I'm out here for energy work, and my energy's shot, and I can't. I don't want to. Two, what was supposed to be set up wasn't set up. So for me to come out of town, everything's supposed to be a certain way, and it's not. It's okay for me to be like, okay, I can bag out because y'all ain't even had things set up for me the way it was supposed to. So things worked. It was good that things did not work out correctly, because it gave me the okay to say I'm canceling everything and I'm leaving. And that's exactly what I did. And I got my babies back home, you know what I'm saying? And literally over the last couple of days has been my time to really unpack this. And I sat this morning and was about to like go through it, and that's what made me hop on the live. Because y'all know, I'm like, I always talk about how we go through challenging things and controversial things. A lot of us will keep those to ourselves and we'll talk about the things afterward. And I'm like, no, this is where my mind is at. And I do best verbalizing myself. You know what I'm saying? I ain't had nobody to kick it with. I don't have those people that I'd be like, oh, this happened, that happened, because those people that have been putting me through those things have been those people. I've literally lost any and everybody that I would call close to me. Like the people that when I'm going through my daily life and things happen, these are the people that I call to kick it with or to give me the ones and the twos. You know what I'm saying? When those are the people that are taking you through the traumatic experiences, who do you call? Right? But again, so that we can see this live and direct. How do I feel now? I feel like that I'm happy that I did not allow my emotional, like I did not operate through my emotional intelligence. Let me be very clear. I feel like that should be done at the right times, but at this time, me being in my emotions would have not served me correctly. I'm very pleased that I have the military training that I have, and the ability to focus on consciousness and what's taking place right now. Because I literally had to go back into that mode, like where, like if you're in a wartime event, you can be in a traumatic experience and be very clear and knowing that you are in a traumatic experience, and you can allow yourself to literally take over in a different consciousness. It's something that I think you have to be trained to do, because I was, you know what I'm saying? This wasn't like something this was through training, through the military, right? And so we can use it now in real life situations. And that's what I did. I did not allow because in some situations, I'm like, man, that military shit had you fucked up, man. Leave that shit alone, bro. This is an emotional event. You can cry, you can feel, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes that's why a lot of soldiers, when they go through different shit, they'll respond like a soldier, and it scares everybody around them in the family. And they talk about PTSD because they don't have that ability or that teaching like I have through the medicine work that I've done to put that shit down and to pick up your emotional body and actually walk through something with that and let it be okay, right? And so instead of allowing myself for my emotions to take over, I just kept a soldier. Like, man, you in the middle of a situation right now. You got your babies with you. It's just you and your babies. Ain't no woman around to help you. Ain't no here, hold them while I do nothing. It's just you and them. So everything that you do, they're going to be watching, they're going to be seeing, they're going to be experiencing. While I'm going through all of this, my daughter calls me and tells me her grandfather just died. Then those emotions hit. And so all of this is literally happening all at the same time. And I just kept a soldier. And I was like, all right, you know what I'm saying? I went to my side. I did my mourning because I didn't want my babies to see that. You know what I'm saying? And then when I came back around them somewhere in between going to bed, I started crying. And my daughter looked and baby 7 said, "Bae, are you crying?" And I was like, yeah. And she said, well, can I give you a hug? And I was like, yeah. And then Zayar asked me, can I give you a hug? And it was so cool that they both asked for consent. And I'm like, yeah. And they both gave me hugs. And then they walked off. And one thing was, I was noticing they didn't say it's going to be okay. They didn't say you all right. They didn't say stop crying. They offered me a hug and they both gave me hugs. And then they left me with it. And I thought that was very, like, subtle. That's something we don't, like, when the babies is crying and they come to us, we try to stop them from crying. It'll be okay. Okay, you good. All right. You know what I'm saying? They don't do that. They offer affection and love, and then they leave you in it. You keep crying. My baby didn't tell me, okay, stop crying. My baby didn't tell me it's gonna be all right. My baby didn't tell me you good. You no. She said, can I give you a hug? I'm like, yeah. And she gave me a hug, and then she gave me a kiss actually. And then she patted my back and then walked off. And that was it. And I thought that was very special. I don't know if y'all catching what I'm talking about, y'all. You know what I'm saying? But to leave people in it, like, it's so like, yo, you gonna be good. You gonna be. You don't know that. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I felt like they taught me something. Like, I don't need to say that. I don't need to tell people that. I don't need to, like, if I comfort them and I give that to them. And yo, so shout out to Warmth Studios. Listen, man, Warmth Studios is the yoga studio where I was at when all of this was taking place. When I say Mariah and Warmth Studios held me down, I mean they held me down because they became aware of the situation while I was in the midst of it. Like, while it was live and direct, you know what I'm saying? When I got back to the center and I'm sitting, I had a moment to kick it. And so this was the thing. My daughter called me, told me her grandfather just passed away. He was a good dude to me. My babies is in the back room. I go sit on the couch. And when I sat there, I'm trying to just kind of like gather myself because of everything going on. And I started crying. Okay. As I'm crying, the yoga session that was taking place was ending. I'm sitting on the couch crying. When I say the people from Warmth Yoga Studios came around with me, sat with me, embraced me. I'm talking about I'm sitting there and all of this just hit me and I'm crying. And all of a sudden I just felt the presence and I look up and there's somebody right here next to me embracing me. It's somebody sitting right here next to me. It's somebody in front of me. And I mean, these people literally just held space for me. Warmth Studios in Grass Valley, like, they held space for me like they knew me for years. I don't know these people. You understand what I'm saying? We've crossed paths because I'm here doing a lecture and boop, 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 and they're doing yoga. So, oh, okay, Snake Venom guy, hey, how you doing? Like, but like when this happened, this was like, I don't know, 8, 9 at night, and they literally held space. And I'm talking about they held me down. Because keep in mind, I don't have nobody at this time. Literally nobody. I literally have just been kicked out by the person that in my life I know if anything ever go bad, go to this person. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like y'all got your grandma, some of you got your this, your that. That was this person. Like, what just happened? Right? And so at that time, it didn't matter because those people held space for me. And it made me think about something the wise man told me. He said, I'm gonna tell you, man, a lot of times people mourn and they talk about losing people and that these people were, and they start talking about what those things were. He said, the universe has a self-balancing scale. I promise you, he said, if you've ever lost anybody, who they were, you can't help that. But what they were to you, whatever they were to you, when you lost them, the universe started supplying that very thing from somebody else, guaranteed. Look for it. And I promise y'all, I ain't never been able to prove that man wrong. He ain't lying. No matter where you go on the planet Earth, she gonna give you what you need. When you in the desert and you all alone, what do you need? You need water. What do the plants give you? Water. When you go up into the mountains and there's a lot of scratches and abrasions and bruises, the sharp the higher you go. And there's a lot of plants for scrapes and skin and the breaks and bruises and things like that. When you go deep into the ocean and the waters, the plants there give you high amounts of oxygen. So when you consume them, now you can hold your breath longer. What, like anywhere you go on the planet, she gonna give you exactly what you need. You know what I'm saying? There's always self-balancing scales. When you lose somebody, everything you got from them, you're gonna get from somebody else, somewhere else. So shout out to Warm Studios, because you know what I'm saying, they held me down at a time when I needed. You know what I mean? Um, and I'm like, damn, I ain't got nobody. And then these motherfuckers literally came out of the woodworks like, you got us, bro. Like, what, who the fuck, where y'all? And they held me down and they embraced me, and that shit legit held me down. And you know what I'm saying? The words of encouragement, you know what I'm saying? And things that I got, you know. So I definitely want to give them a shout out, you know what I mean? But while I was in it, I just realized that I was in it, and I asked myself, like, how do I want to be like seen in this moment? I don't know about y'all, but that for me is what um keeps me in integrity, is the understanding that everything is recorded. Like if you do any type of ancestral work, if you do any type of spiritual work, if you do any type of mycology work, if you do any type of uh, uh, um, 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 growing, like crops, like, right? If you do any of these types of works, then you are very familiar with everything is being recorded, right? How can you do ancestral works and burn ancestral money and light the candles and put food on the altar and not think that every move you make is being recorded? How can you not pray to a higher being, right? How can you not do all of these things and not know that everything is being recorded? If it's being witnessed, it's being recorded. And this is what the Akashic Records is about. I know, and I'm very aware of the reality of the Akashic Records because of my ability to go and actually time travel and read in the Akashic Records. I got that when I started meditating and transcending. So me being aware of this, okay, I know it exists. And since I know it exists, I know that everything is recorded. And with that being said, every situation that I walk, before I respond, I'm saying, how is this going to affect my boom? How is this going to affect my spirit? How is this going to affect my growth and development? How is it going to affect my walk as a yogi? How is this going to affect, you know what I'm saying, my reality as a father and a husband and a good man? Is this going to alter that? Is it going to put this in the detriment? Or is it going to show and prove what it is that I say I am. And then I make the decision and I walk with that. So keeping it real simple. I think before I speak. I think before I move. You know what I'm saying? And I think about how I want to lay down the reality of anything that I'm involved in. And that was it. It's not about how I feel. Like, even though it's traumatic, like you can't control what somebody else does in this reality. And that's where a lot of us get caught up at. We have to understand that. If you can understand that earlier, that only thing that you can control is your response. And that will be laid out in the story and in reality. So with that being said, it will forever be told. You know what I'm saying? And that's all that you can get. But that's the greatest gift ever. And a lot of us don't understand that. Understand, y'all, that's the greatest gift that we have. That's why the Bible says that God gives man free will. You do what you want, and I'm going to do what I want. You respond, you do what you want, and I'm going to respond the way I see fit and accordingly. And therefore, that's my story. And I can tell my story and I can move within that. And that's the most beautiful part, is being able to tell your story. You know what I'm saying? But the best way to be able to tell it is to tell it in the way that you don't mind it being told. What the boy Cat Williams said, you don't like what I said about you? Well, shit, maybe you should have did different things to have me tell, right? I always tell people, stop me when I start lying, not when you start feeling some type of way. You know what I mean? So, pain is going to be pain. How you respond, I don't think changes the pain. It just changes how you feel, because depression means after all of the things that were pressing upon you starts to come off, and you start to look at what you did when those things were on you. And a lot of times looking at what you did when those things were on you causes you to feel shame. And this is what we call depression. But depression is really looking at all of these things as they come off of you and how you responded to them. There's oppression, there's depression, there's suppression, right? But there was a pressure that was put on. And when that pressure comes off, that's depression. Okay? And then we have the opportunity to look at how we responded in those times. And that is what we have to respond to. You know what I mean? But I just wanted to get on here and verbalize all of this shit for myself so that I can literally feel it and see it for myself and share it with y'all live and direct. Live and direct. You know what I'm saying? Like, how am I going to walk with this afterward? The way that I went through it. And that's another thing. I feel good about what I did and how I responded. What happened, I don't feel good about. It hurts my feelings. And that's something, like, we can never change those aspects. But when we wild out and we do a bunch of shit and we say a bunch of shit and we lash out physically, now we have shit that we have to be responsible for. I ain't do none of that shit. None of the way. I don't have nothing I'm responsible for, so I don't feel like it's any type of anything that I need to go back and do. I can wash my hands and continue to move, and now I have my own story to tell, an experience that I went through, and a lot of new reality to walk with, because it did change my way of thinking in a lot of different areas. That's the biggest part that I've seen. I'm talking about, like, coming home, I'm eating different now, and I'm doing business different. I've taken a lot of emotion out of business. There's a lot of changes that have taken place because I went through a traumatic event. How I deal with, relationships is changing. It's just so much. So it doesn't have to be violent. It doesn't have to be something you do. Going through a traumatic event by itself alters the mindset and the walk of the person who experienced it. But what I'm trying to display is that we do not have to react in a way that leaves a bunch of shit for us to go and have to clean up, pick up, or be responsible for. And even if you don't, that does not change the reality that you went through it and the reality that is going to change you quite a bit. But the way you go into it does give you the ability to alter how you're going through it and how you come out of it more in a controlling way. And that's a beautiful thing. And that's the greatest part of having all of these teachings that have allowed me to walk through this traumatic event the way I did, with the mindset the way I did, coming out and being able to look at it the way I did. And I just wanted to share that with y'all. Tell somebody you love them in a language they can understand it in. Peace.